Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, is this 2008 housing market all over again? What can we expect to see? Are there going to be foreclosures on the rise? If you're interested in hearing more about that, then keep on listening. My name is Gil Gutierrez. I am actually a realtor here in the Orange County area out in California. And so, I wanted to go ahead and address just a couple questions that have been brought up. I put out a posting via Instagram on unemployment, how there's no true correlation between unemployment and home sales. And so someone asked, well, how about foreclosures? Are we going to see foreclosures because of unemployment? Are we going to see people having to sell because of it? And so I'm not saying that there's not going to be hardships in cases where people need to sell because they are unemployed. So I'm sure that's going to happen. But in regards to foreclosures, and is this market the same as 2008? Are we going to see that same conditions in the housing market? Let's take a look at it. I got 5 slides to share with you. I think they're very important, and both of them kind of tell a story in terms of everything that was going on in 2008, how it compares to now, and the likelihood that we're not going to see the same thing. So bear with me. Hope you enjoy this. Here we go. All right, so first slide I got for you is annual home price appreciation. So I was just talking with a buddy of mine. He was a financial advisor, oversees like 20 branches here in Southern California, and you look at this, and we were talking about runaway appreciation and what people were doing with their equity back, prior to the housing crash. And so, I give you an idea of what runaway appreciation is. Let's take a look at right before the housing crash and just the levels of appreciation that were occurring, from 2000 to 2005. I mean, just high levels of appreciation. That also put people in a position, where they were had tons of equity in their home, and a lot of them were, making some decisions with that equity that perhaps they shouldn't. But let's compare that to right now in 2000, from 2004, the last 6 years, 2014 to 2019, you can see that even in 2017, the highest level of appreciation in the last 6 years at 6.4%, that is not even as high as the lowest level of appreciation right prior to the housing crash, which was at 6.5% in 2001. So you can really see the high levels of appreciation prior to the Great Recession. And let's keep moving forward. And so along with that, appreciation, we're seeing home sales, right? People are buying homes. And if we look at this, if we look at this chart right here, this is put out by the Mortgage Bankers Association. And what it is, it's a mortgage credit availability index, right? And so what that means is the higher the number, that means that it is easier to get a loan. The lower the number, the more difficult. And we were just discussing this, right before I got on here about how we had, it was very easy to see people that were buying very expensive homes at the time and wondering, how are they making that purchase? And very simply, I mean, if we look at right there in 2006, you see the housing bubble, the index was at 868.7. What that means, it was really easy to get a loan. And not only that, lenders were being creative. You had negative amortization loans, a lot of people were doing ARM loans, interest only. And so if we take a look at that, I mean, it was really easy to get a loan as in comparison to today. And in comparison to right after the bubble, right after the crash, after 2008, it wasn't easy to get a loan. I mean, there were people that had lots of good paying jobs that were trying to buy, that it wasn't exactly easy. Some of them weren't able to. And we can see that has stayed, pretty low since then. Even as of today, it has dropped. Lenders right now, they are tightening up. Some lenders are choosing not to participate in certain loans. Some lenders are increasing the requirements, credit score requirements to get a loan, doing triple checks, calling after the fact, after the property's already been closed, calling employers to verify employment. And so it is definitely not as easy today to get a loan as it was back then. And you talk about foreclosures, and one of the things that could have led to more foreclosures was simply people buying a property that was too much for them, that they shouldn't have been in. And so we continue further with this, and we look at is this a seller's market? Is this a buyer's market? We look at level of availability of homes. A neutral market is anything that is between 6 and 7 months of inventory. So how much inventory is there available for buyers? We can see prior to the housing crash and right thereafter, there is a large number of properties on the market for sale. You had a lot of people trying to sell their property, wanting to sell it. Some in a position where they were having to sell it because we started to see some declines in value, and so they were upside down. And there was not enough buyers. There was not enough demand for the amount of supply during the market at that time. In comparison to right now, I mean, right now we're sitting at it's a seller's market. We're sitting here nationally, we're sitting under 3 months. And so you look at that, or roughly about 3 months, and that is very low inventory. So what it means is there's a huge buyer demand. So there's a lot of buyers out there, more buyers than there is inventory on the market. There's not enough homes. There's buyers out there that still feel comfortable with their positions. They still feel comfortable about moving forward with their real estate plans and want to take advantage of the current interest rates. And so they are moving forward with their plans. There's just simply not enough inventory on the market. Then we move forward into this. This is huge. So we want to talk about foreclosures and what was going on. This right here is the amount of equity that was cashed out. This is in billions of dollars. It was cashed out via refinance from owners. But prior to the crash, 2005, 2006, 2007, we have $824 billion that homeowners pulled out of their homes. They harvested from their homes, and many of those owners repositioned them into depreciating assets, things like RVs, jet skis, new cars, right? So we look at their lifestyle, right? Vacations. And so a lot of that was repositioned in that manner, and which didn't help. And when market did change, when values did, there was a correction in values, they were in a position where they were upside down and made it very difficult for them, which also led to foreclosures. So versus compared to today, look at 2017, 2018, 2019 totals, $232 billion owners have pulled out of their equity in comparison to 824. So almost look at that, 4 times difference, the amount that was pulled out of equity from homeowners prior to the crash as opposed to today. I would say based on that, I think we've learned our lesson. And so what does that mean? That means a lot of owners right now are sitting on a lot of equity. So if we take a look at this, right, 53.8% of all homes in America have at least 50% of equity. And so what is that comprised of? Well, Americans are sitting on tremendous equity. 37% of all homes owned in this country are free and clear. That means 37% of homeowners out there do not own a mortgage. They don't have a mortgage. They ain't paying for their house anymore. All right, they don't have to make a payment. 26.7% of those mortgage homes have at least 50% equity. So 26.7% of all homeowners out there have 50% equity in their home. I mean, those are massive levels of equity that people are sitting that have right now. So all that combined together, we're looking at about 53.8% of all homeowners have at least 50% equity in their home, which is huge. And so what does that mean? I mean, that means if, there are going to be people that are in a position where, they need to sell their home based on what's going on. But are we looking at massive numbers of foreclosure? And the likelihood is no, because people are sitting on equity. They're likely not to just walk away from that. If they have to sell, that's going to be one thing, but we're not seeing large levels of negative equity. And I don't think we're going to see that. And so I hope these graphs right here, that was it. So I hope these 5 graphs kind of help paint a picture of what was going on prior to the housing crash and what was going on after. I mean, we see it, if we tie them all together, you're seeing large levels of equity being pulled from the home. And prior to that, huge levels of appreciation, which put people in a position where I got tons of equity. I can go ahead and pull in that equity to fund lifestyles, thinking that was going to continue to happen, the appreciation. That didn't. Market started to correct. Values dropped, and they're in a position where they owed more on the home. Maybe they had a HELOC, they refinanced, cashed out, so they owed more. They're in a bad position, and so that led to more foreclosures. We took a look at the availability of properties. There was a ton of people looking to sell their property back then that could not, as opposed to right now, there's simply more demand for homes than there is availability. So every market is different, but definitely seeing that here in Southern California. In my market, I was actually out with clients last week. We put in an offer $20,000 over asking. There were 8 offers on the property. We came in second. We don't win them all, but still, but I say that to show that there is demand out there. People that are looking, they're serious. Um, I was out yesterday with this same couple. We were out yesterday, and there was a home that was just hit the market. And mind you, we take all the safety precautions. So there are things in place, safety first at all times. Everybody's wearing a mask, booties, gloves, and touching the things is non-existent. And so we want to make sure that we take precautions first. And we use the tools, Google Maps and things like that to view properties. And we only go see ones that we're really interested in. And so safety precautions first, just want to make sure to put that disclaimer out there. But even that being said, we had scheduled time to go see it. There were 5 other parties, agents with their clients, buyers, with masks, gloves, waiting outside the property, everybody far from each other, waiting to get in to take a look. So in my particular market, that's what we're seeing. So is there real estate activity going on? Yes, there is. There are buyers out there who are still serious, that are still feel comfortable with the market, still want to move forward. So sellers out there, just know that if you need to sell, if you plan to move forward with your plans, there is still a market out there. But again, I hope this helps paint a better picture of before, the housing crash, the Great Recession in 2008, and then right now and what we're seeing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Other than that, have a wonderful day. I hope this helps. Bye, everybody.